And now, live from Smoke on the Water in Greenville's West End, here is Straight Up with Sturge with Mark Sturgis.
Welcome back in this Monday night edition of Straight Up with Sturge, coming to you live from Smoke on the Water. Mark Sturgis, Price Atkinson, and we go to the guest line. We bring on the legendary Bob Ryan, the sports columnist emeritus for the Boston Globe. You can follow him on Twitter at Globe Bob Ryan. And quite frankly, Bob, president of the NSSA this year as well. That's probably your biggest job over the next, 8 to 9 months.
I'm very proud to be involved.
Yeah, great group of guys up there in Salisbury, North Carolina. I actually had the chance to meet you this year and have my photo taken with you, and then to get you back on the show, 6 months later. Great memories. But, Bob, your thoughts on the NCAA tournament so far, and especially with 2 games this past weekend, ending on what some people term questionable charge calls, that we know that's your favorite call in the game of college basketball.
I saw one, I didn't see the other, so I'll comment on the one
Okay.
I saw, which was the Arizona game. And my take was very simple. In this particular instance, no call. Should have been the call.
Mm-hmm.
There was a minimal bump at the start of the drive, minimal. Then there was a perfunctory extension of the left hand by was it Gordon, right? It wasn't Johnson, it was Gordon. Whichever one it was. It was either Gordon or Johnson, I forget. Minimal. And then there should have been no call. That was not a charge. There was a little bit of an embellishment, which was, logical. You're taught to do that. You feel contact, fall down, get a break. And it worked. It should not have been a call. In my opinion, that was a play-on, guys, call. I didn't actually see the other one, so I can't comment. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the one. Which one are you talking about now?
Tennessee, Michigan, there at the end.
A very controversial one, but as a rule, I oppose the idea of, quote, taking in charge. Standing there doing nothing while somebody runs you over. Tough. That shouldn't exist. And I'm learning about the derivation of that, and it didn't always exist, by the way.
Yeah, it seems Bob Ryan, Price Atkinson sitting in with Mark tonight. It's absolutely a pleasure to have you on the show with us. Thank you so much for your time. And I just feel like this new emphasis on this, the fouls, really, everybody calls it this new rule. It's not really a new rule. It's really enforcing the existing rule that they're just deciding to really get serious about. I feel like it's kind of blurred the lines really all season, and to me it's really no surprise at all to see it kind of come to a head in a lot of ways in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, you're right. It's simply calling a point of emphasis. They like to point, as they call them, these decisions at the start of seasons. What are we going to emphasize this year? But I think the whole philosophy of the charge has to be reexamined, and I wish they would have a little summit conference and get it settled once and for all. Because I have learned that it didn't always exist as we know it, and that it was kind of gradually put in, and then the place where it took the strongest root is, of course, the ACC. I used to laugh when I was covering the NBA in the 70s, and you'd see these ACC rookies time and again in the exhibition season. A guy would run by them and they'd fall down, and everybody'd laugh, and the referee would say, "Son, get up. We're not in the ACC anymore." And no, seriously. And we know the dean taught it, and we know that the Coach K swears by it, and it's, believe me, people laugh at them. But they are. It's a sacred tenet of the ACC. Thou shalt fall down if someone breathes within 5 feet. I understand that, but let's get this out of the game. It's really stupid. But I don't. But it's just a shame when, no matter what the call is, it doesn't matter whether it's the charge block or simply a touch foul. When it occurs at the end of the game, it's too bad because you want the game decided by the players, as we say. There's even a worse call though. That when it comes across in the end of a game is drives me crazier even in the charge. And now let me ask you a question. I get a defensive rebound, okay? I get it. You reach in, you slap me, you nudge me, you might even knock the ball loose except that I pick it up. Why is that a foul? Tell me why that's a foul. If I have the rebound and I haven't lost it and you've touched me, why should that be a foul? and yet we have to trudge down to the other end of the floor once we're in the bonus. And when that occurs in the last minute, it absolutely drives me crazy. That's something to look at.
Yeah, it totally ruins the game. It makes the kids hate it, the coaches hate it, and the fans hate it. It just makes it unwatchable. 100%.
Somebody address this. I can't be the only one who's ever noticed how irrelevant this is to the conduct of the game. Am I?
No, you're certainly not, Bob. But I'll tell you, on that note, look, in full disclosure, I think you know this as well as anybody. Our listening audience here in the upstate of South Carolina, you know that this is football, 90% dyed-in-the-wool territory. But I'm here to tell you, I am a basketball guy through and through. It is my passion. It is my love. I finally got to see the Requiem of the Big East last night. Finally had a chance to sit down and watch it, a league that I just loved. I was almost brought to tears at the end of it. But I wanted to ask you about, with that said, the flavor of the Final Four this year, with the Big East, the old Big East that we all loved in basketball, now defunct. Now you in this Final Four, John Calipari, Billy Donovan, and while Kevin Ollie's a West Coast guy, he's still coaching UConn. The flavor, this Northeast flavor that's going to be at the Final Four this weekend.
Yeah, I know you pointed that out, except that I'm more interested in the fact that this is the third time in the history of the tournament since the tournament expanded and since the tournament allowed people other than conference champions and at-large people to get in, that we've had a possibility of a championship game featuring one conference. We've had it twice with the Big Ten. We had it in 1976 with Ohio State and Michigan, and we had it in the fourth time, of course, with the Big East. We had the Big East. We had it in '85, and we had it in 2000 with Michigan State and Wisconsin, and we have it a chance again with Florida and Kentucky. I'm more interested in that. John Calipari never coached in the Big East, so that's not UConn. Yeah, they were a charter member of the Big East, and they're the school that, by the way, still scratching their heads to figure out how, in this giant musical chairs that is conference realignment, they got stuck standing, and everybody all that they used to know and all their old buddies got situated a lot better than they did. Got to sit down in the chair in the musical chairs game. But to me, the real interest will be if that next Monday night that the championship game is Florida, Kentucky.
Yeah, Coach Bob. Any chance, you're a Boston College grad, any chance, any news on that hire? Quite frankly, does anybody care up in that area? And then expand that on with that first year when the Big East kind of put things together, and you literally, right in front of you, watch one of the greatest things in sports history not only start, but grow and become a monster of its own.
There's a minimal interest in who becomes the BC basketball coach. There are those of us who are college basketball people who care. I'm an alumnus. I care. I would care if I weren't an alumnus because I want to see BC is still the central figure in anything that happens here in college basketball. Harvard is on a roll, but other than Harvard, alum people don't care. But BC, when they are good, do attract a following. They're in a nadir right now, and it's a very important decision because if they don't hire the right guy, they're going to be a complete doormat in the league for foreseeable future. There's a lot of work to be done at BC. Somewhere out there is the right guy. I know that. You know it. I know it. I'm not sure who it is. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the disposition of Brad Bates, the new AD, is. Not new AD, but the AD in his second full year. I don't know. That's the number one question. So I don't know. But I know that they have a bad situation there now, and there is a vast rebuilding task for whoever gets the job. Now, the other thing is the Big East. Yeah, I was around for the beginning. I was covering the NBA at the time, but I always had my eye and my heart in college basketball. And then I got out of the NBA, and I covered the Big East for many, many, many years, many tournaments, Final Fours featuring Big East. I was there in '85 in Lexington, etc. And BC, our school, my school, actually was a good team in the league right from the start. They had Dr. Tom Davis when the league was formed, and he had some good teams. He went to the Final Eight in '82. You may forget that. But they were beaten by Houston in the Final Four in the game, the round of 8 in '82. '85 they almost knocked off Memphis along the way. In '83 they were good. They had some good teams. Anyway, I watched that documentary as you did with great interest. It was sad because it was a great thing that was torn apart. Now I know I'm going to speak heretically now in your audience, but it was completely hijacked by football. and it was completely outrageous what happened to the league, as what happened to the ACC, which has simultaneously been hijacked by football, and everything is football. And that league was founded on basketball, and eventually was torn apart, and it's all because of football. And I just wish that it hadn't happened.
Now, Bob, let me ask you. I want to, I'm a Kentucky grad. That's where I went to school, graduated journalism, UK. I want to ask you. You tweeted something about Kentucky, that Wichita State was the best thing to happen to this Kentucky team this year. I want you to explain that and what you meant by that.
It made them grow up. It made them. Wichita State at halftime. I tweeted the following: I don't know who's going to win, but win or lose, Kentucky is better off for having played Wichita State. Words to that effect. They're going to profit from this game. If they win, it's going to be because they were forced to rise to Wichita State's level, period. They were forced to, they learned a hard truth about how to play the game. They were schooled in the first half. And absent their extraordinary raw physical skill, they would have been blown out by Wichita State in the first half. And the only thing that saved them was that extraordinary physical skill. And they grew up in those final 20 minutes. Now, there are those who argue that it actually started the game before in the Florida game and the SEC championship game, and I will not argue that. I didn't see that game. I do know how it ended. I do know that they came from behind. I do know they had a chance to win it. So maybe that second half of that game was the beginning. But I assure you, the final exam was the Wichita State game. And from that point on, I said, look out. They're going to the Final Four. So I was correct on that one. And now that they're here, they absolutely positively have a chance to win. Not the best chance, but a damn good one.
Now, let me ask you one more follow-up to that, Bob. John Calipari, lightning rod. I know you've had a chance to get to know him through the years. When his time at UMass, in New York with the Nets. Does John Calipari belong in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and is he good for the game of basketball?
Were I on the voting committee at the time that his name was put before us, I would vote for him. I think I saw him firsthand build the program at UMass. I saw those teams play beautiful basketball. They were not just a conglomeration of talented players, though he did definitely have good talent that got to the Final Four. But he can coach them up, and he coaches up these kids, and not everybody can do what he does in the time he has to work with these kids. Is he good for the game? He's not bad for the game. The game, and you got to take him at his word that he would be very comfortable and have no problem coaching under a different set of rules in which kids had to go to school for 2 or 3 years. He would have no problem with that. He would take his chances recruiting and coaching again.
Well, sorry about that. We just lost him as he was in a, cell phones, even up in the Northeast, have been known to drop. Ramona, if you could call him and let him know what happened. We're right up against a break anyway. Sorry about that, because that was just absolutely refreshing. I mean, you're talking somebody that tells it like it is, and you know what? Price can do so because there's very few peers.
Well,
I mean, he's earned that respect. He's earned that that rite of passage, if you will.
Getting him to asking him a straightforward question, you're going to get a straightforward, unabashed, unbiased answer. And I really wanted his honest take on John Calipari.
Well, you got the majority of it. Sorry that we got a little. Ramona is online with them right now, saying our apologies. But fantastic. I mean, do you get to the B&B crew tonight, Bobby and Bob? 2 fantastic interviews here on Straight Up with Sturge, getting you ready, and we're going to get you ready for some more on the other side. We've got some more notes on the NCAA tournament. We'll take some. We'll take your questions at 7-2. Okay, hold on. Bob wants to finish with us, so we're going to. Bob, we just found out, even from the Northeast, we can lose a phone call on cell phone. You were talking about Coach Calipari because.
I don't know where we left off. I'll try and pick up. He's not.
Sure.
He made it clear, and I believe him, that he would be willing to compete on any rules they want, whether they go 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. or no years. He would rather that they go at least 2 years. I totally believe him. But he can take advantage of the situation as no one else because of the resources of Kentucky, the tradition, the history that Kentucky offers, that kids will want to go there, and he can coach them up when he gets them. But to think that he's the villain is preposterous. He's not bad for college basketball. The rules are bad for college basketball. And they really need the ultimate summit conference between the NBA and the NCAA to get this thing settled to the satisfaction of more people than we have satisfied now, once and for all. You know, in the best of all worlds, we go back to 1968, pre-Spencer Haywood, everybody would have to go 4 years, end of story. Well, that world doesn't exist anymore. But to portray him as the villain, oh, please, it's just ridiculous.
Bob, one last quick question before we let you go. This is a national holiday for a lot of folks, especially in your city where you live and reside up there in Boston. Opening day, we have the Greenville Drive, the Red Sox, one of their single A affiliates, just two blocks up the street from us is where we sit here right now. Red Sox kick off the season today, come up just a little short today. I mean, what's the feeling like around Beantown today, going into the season? Yankees make all the moves. How are Boston fans feeling today?
Well, they're not overly confident. I mean, they're not overconfident by any means. We lost Ellsbury here, Drew, and people are well aware that all the good fortune they had last year is not likely to be replicated this year. Everything went their way. The theme song was Shane Victorino's "Walk Up to the Plate" song. Every little thing going to be all right, and it was all right. Well, it won't be all right this year because it's common sense. So it's going to be a very tough division. Baltimore will be in it. The Yankees will be in it, despite their potentially disastrous infield situation. Their pitching will carry them through. And the Rays are the Rays, and a lot of people think they're the favorites for the division. So it's going to be a very competitive division. But people are aware enough to know that they can't be they just can't expect the same thing to happen in the same blissful way they happened last year.
Well, Bob, thank you for your time tonight. Price and I look forward. I'm bringing him up to Salisbury, North Carolina with me this year to Catawba College because, quite frankly, that's one of the better weekends at the NSSA Awards. Y'all do a great job. Our friends up at Wake Forest and now Catawba College and everybody involved, and look forward to seeing you this summer again.
Well, we will get together, and I'm looking forward to it. It's always one of my favorite weekends of the year.
All right. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy this basketball.
So long, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob. And maybe if we're lucky, maybe we can 2-on-1 Bob Ryan this summer, and we can
watch what you say.
Easy.
Let's
talk him into getting down here to Greenville to come down and just
check
be a
out
part
the Red
of the
Sox.
That's what. Come up down to the Greenville Drive for 1 week.
You're going. Listen. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put Deckerhoff on one side, the voice of Florida State, and Bob Ryan on the other side, and we're going to throw out a question that they would take opposite sides of the argument with and just throw it out there and let them go at it because it's much smarter than anything that we could say.
I don't know if you should take me. I'd go up there and find the old school, long-time guys, and you probably wouldn't see me. I'd go into a hole, and you wouldn't find me.
You be with us at 1:30 in the morning making prank phone calls. Gene Deckerhoff, Paul Kills at Ohio State, Bob Beeler at Boise State. Yeah, we kind of, about 1 o'clock in the morning that first night, hey, give me that phone. And we started calling various people, and it just goes to show you people our age can even act like idiots every once in a while. All right, Ed, hold through the break. We're past it because of that reconnect with Bob Ryan. We are WCCP Talk Sports 104.9 FM, the flagship station of Clemson Athletics.